And we do that on a regular basis. Like the time is 10 and we press the button and it goes. And today is Monday. I think it's the 4th of March. What are you doing? Hope you're having a great day. We're going to talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. That's what we do every day that I make it into the office. We talk about it online in an environment where you can ask questions so you learn stuff before you do stuff that might get you in trouble. Yes, we very much want to avoid trouble for you. Oh, now Instagram will be joining us. That's good. What did you do this weekend? Did you do anything fun? I want to know. Let me know. Well, let me know a couple of things. Let me know where you're coming in from, because I'd love to know where you is. We have people from all over the world who watch the show. But of course, we have lots of people right here in Ontario who watch the show. So we want to know where you are, just because we're curious. And if you are a person with questions, know that we're here for you. TikTok is slow to start up today. That's okay. We'll see people when they get in. And let me just see what's going on here, because that's a little odd. I see Nick joined, and Robert joined, and Jonathan joined, and Julia joined. And guess what, Julia? Your message came in right off the top, so I know that TikTok's working. Thank you. I was waiting for that. What are we doing? We got the folks who jumped in early. We got Tim Shallow, who says good morning, Sean. Stephen Bell, who says good morning, Sean. Paul, who says hello. Northern Pike says good morning, Sean, and everyone. The Grinch says good morning and enjoy this warm weather. It's supposed to be 13 degrees today. Isn't that great? Is it time to take your winter tires off if you have them? Maybe. We can talk about that. Generally speaking, if the temperature sits and stays over 7 degrees Celsius, that's when it's time. That's when it's time to change. Maybe it's time to get ahead of the lineups. I think I might get mine put on soon. You think we're going to have more snow? I don't know. It's not, Northern California has a lot of snow, but I don't know about here. Is that not weird? The complete upside downness of the world right now? All right, Julia, I've got your message locked in here so I don't lose it. Lucifer wants to know if a DUI report can DUI deport a permanent resident from Canada. I don't know. I mean, I know that from watching those TV shows about Border Patrol, I think that you can get you can certainly be inadmissible to Canada. But once you're here, if you are a permanent resident, no, I don't think it's going to get you. You can't deport someone. You're a permanent resident, not based on that. But you do have to be accountable to your whatever happened, to your behavior, to your consequences. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Warm weather doesn't mean you can speed. Drive safe from the Grinch. That is very good advice, my friend. There's a lot of folks who see it getting drier, warmer temporarily, and right onto the gas pedal they go. Mind you, I think there's people who never slowed down in the first place. If you're watching, you could be watching in a couple of different places, and I want to just note those, make mention of them. Let's talk about it. You could be watching on any one of these. You've got TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, did I say LinkedIn? Kick, and of course, X, formerly known as Twitter. And if you ask on any one of those, you're generally going to get answers because everything seems to be working, which is fantastic. Now, if you're on Instagram, which is way over there, I got to look over there manually. Because I see here Sean Robertson says, good morning, Sean, and good morning to you. But I need to look all the way over there. If you want to get sort of more staying in the know, go to youtube.TrafficCop.ca. Join us on our YouTube channel. Follow us there. We'd love to have you as part of the YouTube family, along with all the other platforms that we're on. I've been pretty good. I posted all of the episodes on social media in terms of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you missed an episode and you want to listen while you drive, you can certainly do that by going to Apple Podcasts. Actually, go to TrafficCop.ca. All the links are there. Yeah, that's just the way it is. We download them right after the show, usually, and then go from there. Okay, going back to the list of things. Oh, before I get too far into talking about stuff and things, I want to mention Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are the dedicated group of officers who go out and make a difference every single day. They are trying to change driver behavior by issuing tickets, holding drivers accountable for the stuff they do on the road. So whether you're speeding, driving aggressively, driving distracted or impaired, know that they're out there looking for you. So if you want to make a new friend who'll give you a ticket so they remind you of the time that you met, just keep doing what you're doing. Of course, that's a bad idea, right? We want you to not speed, drive aggressively, drive distracted, or drive impaired, because they're out there to find you. Now, any officer in the city of Toronto can hold you accountable for these offenses. Just so happens that these fine officers with the Vision Zero Enforcement Unit or team, well, they're doing it solely. They're not going to get interference by getting called out to other things. They're there to do a job, and they do it well. All right. March 4th, that's today. They are focused on Vision 0 in 12 Division and 41 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Weston, Mount Dennis, Rockcliffe, Smythe, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside. Those are the neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe, like all neighborhoods. And we announce it every day on our social media platforms. You can find that by going to TrafficCop.ca. Find all the different platforms, but it's specifically Twitter, which is Traffic Services, Traffic Services Toronto, which is the username for our Instagram, and of course you can get us on Facebook too. All right, let's get back into things that are important to you. Julia was the first one in with a question this morning, so let's go there. Julia wants to know, can parking enforcement officers block live lanes or park on curbs to serve parking tickets? Yes, they can. They are temporarily stopping to take care of business. They are not expected to walk 3 blocks to take care of the call for service or to enforce the parking laws. So yes, they have flashing lights. They temporarily close that lane, or they try not to, but they are certainly doing their job. Yeah. We talked about this. Now I can take that away. Boom, boom, boom. We talked about the good mornings from Ahmed. And how long can you drive? What is this? How long can you drive in a shared turning lane in a city? Steve wants to know. So you're talking about the center lane that's supposed to be for turning left or turning right. It's not meant for you passing 500 cars, and that's what people tend to do. There is a charge for misuse of a center or a multi-use lane. Let's see if I can find the charge quickly, because I think it's something we should talk about. I've laid the charge a number of times, and it's really going to be, it's not a specific measurement of distance. It's going to be a call of a police officer who makes an allegation that you are not doing the right thing in that lane. Center lane, maybe it is? To think about the wording. Multi-purpose? How can I guess at identifying charges? Rules that are improper. That's multi-lane. I can't find it. I can't think of the wording that's... Can't think of the wording. Okay. I was hoping I'd find it really quickly. Maybe I have it flagged somewhere. But yeah, it is an offense, and it's going to be based on what we're seeing. If you're passing all the traffic that's at a standstill so you can get to that left turn lane, and you're passing and creating all sorts of issues, what are those issues? Well, somebody in that lineup is going to pull out to make a left turn at some point. They're probably waiting for the line to give them that dotted invitation. Don't be that person who's misusing it. Oh, Julia, I got your good morning after your question, but thank you for sending it. A morning from Texas. I was just talking about Texas, Miguel. Thank you for the hello, and you're currently the furthest away, and that's awesome. Yeah, we've been looking at real estate in Texas. I talked to a friend of mine who was born in Texas, who lives here, and another friend who was born in Florida, who wants to move to Texas. So we were talking about real estate in Texas, and there are some beautiful homes and places to live there. My goodness. I'm a little jealous. What's the weather like in Texas right now? Polecat has a question, and I have answers if you actually ask the question. I also have coffee. Okay. Neha, good morning from my half-brain cell after night shift. Yeah, I know how that feels. I used to love working night shift, by the way. So I don't work night shift anymore, but I truly miss it. Working nights was a great way to sort of own the city. There was nobody else. Everyone's asleep, so it feels like it's yours. I used to like it. I like sleeping during the day, although many people have a difficulty with it. Stephen Bell says, I'm from London, Ontario. And I knew that, Stephen, because you're a regular at the show. Let's see here. Joe Aviation says hi. And Jack wants to know... Jack wants to know, if I got pulled over for stunt driving but fought it in court, is it still in my driving record? So convictions go on your record. Now, the suspension that you got instantly for being charged for stunt driving would be there. We'd always see that. And we'd always have record that you were stopped and charged for it. But your true driving record wouldn't reflect a conviction, because if you beat it in court, you didn't get a conviction. So no, it would not be on your record. Not at least the stunt driving charge. Let's see here. I heart my GF. I'm assuming that translates to I love my girlfriend. Will you pull me over for going less than 5 over in a residential street? So I've talked about this in a number of videos. I don't know why people are so focused on the 5 over. You should not be speeding, and any speed over the posted limit is against the law. Will I pull you over and charge you for 5 over? In a 30? Maybe. Depends. What else is going on? But generally speaking, I'm looking for more. Don't try and meet my needs. Don't go faster just to make friends and meet me. Mind you, I'm not doing enforcement, but yeah, you should not be speeding. And you could be stopped and charged for 5 over, absolutely. And we have, like I said, speed limits of 30 kilometers an hour, 35 in that area, not acceptable. Okay. If I have a warrant, can I travel to different countries? We're really stepping outside of the traffic game today. The answer is they might be arresting you at the border. I'd probably deal with your warrant, maybe call a lawyer, get some legal advice. I won't give you advice on that. I'm looking to purchase an e-bike in Peel. What do I need to adhere to for operating? So e-bikes, it's a provincial requirement, cannot be capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour, cannot have more than 120 pounds of kilos, I should say, of weight. They can't be heavier than 120 kilos. They cannot have a motor more than 500 watts in power, and they have to have pedals. They have to be capable of being pedaled by the pedals. So some of these things that they're there for looks. The pedals are just for fun. They don't actually do anything. I'd argue that would be an eligible ticket. But a lot of people advertising these bikes that can do 80 kilometers an hour in off-road mode, that's capable of more than 32 kilometers an hour. That instantly makes that a motorcycle, or at least takes away the legislative benefit of being an e-bike and reverts it to its original status of motor vehicle. There you go. If you want to go to TrafficCop.ca, I do have all those requirements on a link and useful links at the bottom. Squish wants to know what happens if you're driving without a license. Well, you get charged for driving without a license. Oddly enough, you're not insured when you're driving without a license, and the person who allows you to drive without a license is eligible for charges under the HTA as well. If you take it without any permission, because what person would lend you a car if you don't have a license? Well, then you'd be eligible for taking a vehicle without consent, and it's a criminal charge. Bashar Ali, my friend from India, is asking. He says, "Is it legal to drive in Canada for a citizen of another country having a driver's license of his or her own country if he or she is traveling to Canada for a short visit?" And the answer is, I said India. It's Punjab, Pakistan. My apologies, and I should have known that because I've said it 600 times in previous episodes. Okay, so the answer is, most countries are qualified to drive here on a temporary visitor status, and it depends on for how long. If the license is not in English or needs translation, a international driving permit may be required, and information on this is available on TrafficCop.ca at the bottom. Useful links. I have a whole bunch of stuff there for you, and it's different for every province, but generally speaking, you can come here and use either borrow or rent a vehicle with your foreign license, which is good. But once you're here as a permanent status, or you're no longer a visitor, you're not living here, that would no longer apply. You would no longer be allowed to do that. If you need more, let me know. Let's see here. Melanie Pico says, "Happy Monday, everyone. Tap and share the live." Thank you, Melanie. Much appreciated. Yes, if you would be so kind as to tap and share and follow us, of course, if you don't already follow us, I would love that, because that helps you get notified when we go live, and we go live most weekdays from 10 to 11 Eastern Time. We're also going to be doing some later days. Like tomorrow, I won't be in at 10 a.m., so I'm going to be starting late, and late means I can do a later start in the day. I'll post when that will happen once I confirm exactly what's happening tomorrow. Okay, Carl Freeman says, "Good morning, Sean." Good morning to you, Carl. Let's see here. Neha says, "What happens if you're not driving very well?" Oh, very interesting. Okay, so you're impaired by exhaustion. Unfortunately, there's no specific charge for impairment through exhaustion. I mean, you could qualify for careless driving. You could certainly have a problem there because your driving will be impaired because you're tired. You'll be all over the road. That could be a reason. The truth is, what you should be doing is monitoring yourself and not putting you in a situation where you're trying to sing with the window open to keep yourself awake. If you are really tired, pull into a safe place, a well-lit area, and have a nap. If you have to, stay where you are before driving. Don't drive so exhausted that you're putting your life at risk and risking the lives of others on the road. So I hope that helps. Let's see here. Are there any laws for people who camp the passing lane at 100 kilometers an hour? Oddly enough, the speed limit in most places is 100 kilometers an hour. On the Don Valley Parkway, it's 90. In some areas, it's 110. Now, if you are not actively passing, if you are not the fastest thing on the road, you should be staying to your right. But the truth is that anyone who wants to pass that person who's camping at 100 is probably speeding to do it, and that's illegal. So while I know that it's more dangerous when we let the clowns who are passing on the right, create that situation where they have to pass on the right, that's dangerous. I know that that's a problem. I accept it, but they shouldn't be speeding. So if you're not actively passing, stay to the right. I drive the speed limit, not over it. I stay to the right, and people move me. They pass me like I'm not even moving, and that's the deal. So is there a fine? You could be charged for unnecessary slow driving or failing, or slower vehicles failing to keep to the right. Let's see here. Okay, IES is asking the same thing a lot about their promise to appear. Get a lawyer. Jim Jong-un says this is a waste of tax dollars, funds. I disagree. JJ9524, who says, I seen you at the auto show. You're a lot taller in person. Yeah, I'm 6'5". It always shocks people when I'm not on their screen and this big. So, yes, I'm glad you came to the auto show. Is F your Tesla sticker allowed? I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. They would have not allowed you to put that on a license plate. But profanity on its own isn't enough. It has to be something hateful. And hating a Tesla doesn't count. One of those protected things under the, a protected thing. Protected. Can't, race, creed, color, that sort of thing. You couldn't put that there. That would be wrong. That would be hate. Hating a Tesla, not a deal. Steve says turning left without context, so I don't know what you're asking. Jim Jong-un says, do your job and go write tickets. I don't write tickets anymore. I'm off the road due to an injury. So if I could write tickets, I would happily write tickets. Yes, I would make you proud with the number of tickets I would write, Jim. All right. What is this? For turning left and merging right, JD says. Boom. Steve is talking about passing, intending to turn left. You got to put more in one block because it's out of context right now. Oh. Should just remove Jim because Jim is no longer playing nicely. RV Golden, Farty Marty wants to know. You're citing a case, but you're not actually having a discussion. So ask me a question if you got a question. And please use the letter Q in front of it so I know that you are not just having a conversation with other people. More coffee required. What is the consequence of doing 106 and a 60? 106 and a 60 is clearly stunt driving. 100 would be stunt driving, in fact. 40 over in a posted area or an area with a posted limit under 80 kilometers an hour. You only have to do 40 over to trigger stunt driving, but it could be more. 106 and a 60 could actually be dangerous driving. Doing mind you, most school zones are less than 60, but let's say it was a school zone. Let's say it was a very crowded area. That speed could constitute dangerous driving. Depends on what the observations of the officer are. But yeah, so let's deep dive into stunt driving. Immediate 30-day suspension of your license, a 14-day vehicle impound, and on conviction, you're looking at a 1 to 3 year suspension of your license, a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail. So that's pretty good. Richard, welcome to the live stream. Richard has been, he's a bus driver who's been very busy and hasn't been seeing the live stream lately, and because he mentioned that on Twitter. So he says, given the scourge of drug-impaired driving, I wonder if road rage is even called road rage anymore. It's more like roid rage. And that is the unintentional dad joke that, no, I don't know. You know what? Who knows what motivates the individual drivers, what personal issues are going on that's causing them to act out. But there are people doing really dumb things behind the wheel, and it comes up as road rage because any kind of aggressive behavior is potentially road rage, and we see a lot of it. Yeah. Let's see here. When you give your insurance on a traffic stop, do they also check to see if the driver is listed on the policy? I think you mean listed on the policy. And no, we don't check to see who's listed. That's something between you and the policy holder and the insurance company. But we do check to see if the insurance is valid. Very often that may require a telephone call to your insurance company, and that's where it ends. If the policy is active, we're satisfied. If the policy is not active, then there'll be additional charges to deal with, and that's when you start getting into a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. Is bad. It's very bad. Am I allowed to walk around in public with a sword if it remains sheathed and it's as an accessory? There's a lot of depends there. I'm going to say no. Weapon's dangerous. Even though you're not waving it around, it may be a weapon's dangerous situation, certainly causing panic. There's specific charges to, where you're causing panic, and I can't think of the wording right now. Don't do that. Don't walk around with a sword. I mean, if you were, let's say, a person who trains with swords, a martial artist, put it in a bag. You can transport those things for martial arts purposes. Like nunchucks are prohibited, I believe, but they're allowed for martial arts training. And it depends. There's certain exemptions, and don't be silly. And I'm not suggesting your question is silly, but I'm suggesting that someone with a sword walking around would be a silly move. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Avtar Hari says, the 2-year period starts from the day we got the ticket or after conviction if we fight it. So 2 years is for demerit points, 3 years is for conviction. When you got the ticket is that when the offense was committed is when the period for the points, demerit points, would start. So let's say it takes you a year to get to court and you get convicted, you're going to have 1 more year before the points are removed from your license. When it comes to the conviction on your license, that's going to be a 3-year period from the date of conviction, whether it's when you pay it or when you are found guilty in court. That would be it. Noah's asking about repercussions for an officer at a protest. There's an allegation here. I'm not aware of that. I don't know. YTV Cass says, are you a cop? Yes, I'm a police officer from the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I do that right here on social media to answer your traffic and police questions. And Richard says, good morning, Sean, but we already covered one of his questions tonight. I got the good morning, even though you psychically sent it to me. Cowboy CA says, good morning to you. Let's see here. ABCD and lots of numbers says, I just sped 150 on the 401 in front of a cop and he didn't pull me over. Well, lucky you. You should have been charged for stunt driving, and you should have had your vehicle taken, and you should have been suspended, charged, and all that jazz. The fact that you got away with it means you got lucky, not that the police officer, was available. Very often police officers have prisoners or on their way to more important calls, and they just can't chase you for what they're doing. They got something that's higher priority. What happens if you're driving with a car with just your G1? The answer is you can be charged. Obviously, you have to get caught, and if you're caught, you'd be charged for G1 drive unaccompanied. You would receive it's a $110 fine. You would also, upon conviction, get a 30-day suspension if it's your first time. Second time, 90-day suspension. Third time, you get kicked out, and then afterwards, you would. What else? Oh, you would also get you'd have to reapply after you get kicked out. You'd have to reapply for your entire license again, and all the time would be negated. You'd have 0 time on your license. So if you were 8 months in, you were about to get your G2, but you got caught and you 3 times, you'd start all over. What else would there? Insurance wouldn't cover you if you were in a crash. They'd cover the liability of the vehicle, but that's it. The vehicle wouldn't be repaired even if you had the appropriate insurance, because you're driving unlicensed, essentially. Additionally, the person who let you drive the car without a proper license would be eligible for charges under the HTA. And if they said, no, you can't, but you took it anyway, you're taking the vehicle without consent, and that is very, very bad. All right. Sliding back into some stuff here. I see, okay, I forgot JD's actually here. Hey, JD. JD's helping out today, and I'm sitting here scrolling through, and I have not been looking at the pinned questions. And I apologize, JD. I've ignored the fact that you're working there. What do we got here? What's pinned? This is a pinned question from JD. He found it, and Papa Ziggs gets their question answered. Good morning. Are stop signs, etc., within private property, such as mall parking lots, enforceable? They are not. Now, you could be charged for dangerous driving on private property, but simply the sign violation is not enforceable. Lots of people wonder about that. Here's the deal. They're there for a good reason. If you're not following them and you cause a collision, you're still responsible for that. And let's see what Finn wants to know. Are you allowed to drive sorry, you're allowed to ride ATVs on roadways within the city. What if that roadway is a private road? Well, you've sort of given me the answer, Finn. You cannot drive on HTA enforceable roads. In other words, in assumed roads that are city property. But private property is private property, and private roads don't apply. So we don't enforce law on private roads. They're truly private. Just because it's got a paved tarmac doesn't make it a city road. City road, you can't do it. Not in City of Toronto. There could be other jurisdictions where they're allowed, but they're not allowed here. Hopefully that answers your question. So it depends where you're at. Okay, Kelly Wilson, roads closed. What are the consequences for driving on them? So if you are driving in contravention of or on a closed road, let's see if I can find you the wording here. Closed. See if I can do the quick search. Driving on a closed highway, $110. Where signs or traffic control devices have been posted and placed under subsection 2, no person shall drive or operate a vehicle on the closed highway or part thereof in intentional disobedience to the signs or traffic control. 3 demerit points, $110 fine with victim fine surcharge applied. There you go. Is there any rules on vaping while driving? I'm of age to use it. So vaping falls under the Smoke Free Ontario Act. You can't consume anything in the vehicle if there's someone under the age of 16 in the vehicle. If you are in a workplace, you cannot vape, just like you cannot smoke. And, of course, there can be nothing in the vape juice that is prohibited, like drugs. Drugs are bad. Hope that answers your question. Okay, Flyboy says, good morning. Good morning to you. Are transport trucks allowed to be in the fast lane of 400 series highways? No, they're not. So commercial vehicles shouldn't be in the first 2 lanes, according to things I've read, but certainly not the passing lane. They should be in the lanes to the right. But again, reading some stuff with Sergeant Campbell, we had found that the first 2 lanes, not just, I always grew up knowing that lane 1 was prohibited, but lane 2 is also apparently prohibited, although I've never seen it enforced. Now, there's signs that may also come into play there, but that's a different story. All right, scrolling back to find other stuff and things that we have not talked about. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Is it, just because this caught my eye, sky is the limit 100. Is it legal in Canada to have 2-person and a car ownership? Have 2-person and a car. Can you have 2 people listed as owners of a vehicle? Yes, you can have shared. You can share a car. It is true. Okay, scrolling back. Now, for YTVKAS, who was losing their mind because I didn't respond to them, not realizing, I guess, that there's other people in the room and there's a ton of questions because they can only see their question and they think they're being ignored. I get it. You may not see everything, but yeah, take your time, or at least take a break. Rahul wants to know, what about the traffic violation dispute without admission of guilt and with accepting guilt? I'm not familiar of a way to you can't plead guilty without admitting guilt. You have to admit guilt in order to. You can't just say, I'll pay the ticket, but I'm not guilty. Because as soon as you say that, you're not accepting responsibility, and then they toss the plea of guilt. So you're either going to be guilty or not guilty. There's no guilty with a what's it called? A reason, nothing like that. It can be dismissed. You can plead potentially to a lesser offense that's included. Like if you say, well, I didn't not stop for the stop sign. I stopped, but I stopped in the wrong place. There's a charge for that. Maybe you want that charge instead. Maybe they'd give it to you. Good morning. I have concerns with those TikTok live sessions when driving. Is it legal? Well, I don't do that because it's absolutely illegal. If you have your phone mounted or not mounted and you are live streaming and you're reading and interacting with your device, that's against the law. If you, however, mount the phone in a way that the screen is not visible and you're simply live streaming because you're carrying on without any interaction with the audience, you can't see the screen, that's actually not illegal. If you had somebody on the side who is your camera person and you were just driving, that wouldn't be illegal. Let's see here. Oh, Jermaine Meredith has a question. I keep asking this question and I haven't seen a response, so please forgive me. Do tow trucks have a right to speed to the scene of a collision? I changed that, see how, like on the fly. I see them do this often. We see them do this often too. We stop them and charge them because they're not allowed to speed. Yeah, there's no law that allows them to do anything that's unsafe. Really, there's no special privileges at all. The only thing that I'm aware of that tow trucks get is the benefit of the slow down, move over law, which applies to police, fire, ambulance, and tow trucks that have their active lights on while they're working the scene of a collision. That's to get people to move over so they don't get hurt. Just protecting them. It's their office. I like it. But otherwise, no, we charge them all the time for doing silly things. There's a lot of theft happening involving DoorDash. Are you guys watching that? I've not seen it. I don't know what's going on. We are the traffic unit, so I'm not really seeing minor theft calls. I'm not seeing anything. I haven't seen it in the media either. So let me know, just because I'm curious, what sort of stuff is being done. If my work truck is full of dirt and mud, can I be ticketed for getting the road all dirty after leaving a construction site? I don't know. I mean, that's a question I've just never been asked before. You could be charged for obstructing your plate with dirt. Let's see here. Well, it could be unsafe or what's the word I'm looking for? Insecure load if it's coming out of the bed of your vehicle. But if it's just on your tires, I don't think so. But I don't know so. It's going to be a good question for later. Like if I see the sergeant, I'll ask him. I would normally do a deep dive, but I think that's something that's so unique that we'll have to look at it later. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Questions about, okay, here we go. I found it. Things scrolled up and I couldn't see. Hey, by the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day that I appear in front of you on camera. Actually, I talk about it when I'm not here. What's the deal? If you're watching, please follow us. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to keep you abreast of changes. And we go live and get notified, and the people who follow us get notified first. So join us. Follow us. And you can always get useful information and contact us by going to TrafficCop.ca. This is good stuff. Yeah. Now, let's see here. What is your understanding on possession in a vehicle for legitimate medical reasons? What are we talking about? We're talking about medical marijuana. That's pretty much the only possession that you can have legally. It's the only drug other than prescription drugs. So you can have possession. You just can't have it on your person and accessible to the driver whilst driving. It has to be away from you. It can't be like marijuana that's legitimately purchased and sealed is different than anything that is either homegrown or purchased and open. It has to be away from the driver. Cannot be accessible to the driver. What else would you like to know? Because you got a very specific question. You're trying to get to something. I'd like to be able to get you the answer you're looking for. Oh, I may not be able to give you the answer you're looking for, but I'd like to answer the question that's actually being asked. Okay. Who has the right of way? Right on red when clear, or the person making a U-turn into the same lane? You've got two people who have a responsibility to ensure they can complete their turn in safety. The person who is making a U-turn is doing some really interesting stuff because they are crossing a live lane of traffic and I would say the U-turn person is more responsible, but both people could be charged because you're both responsible for ensuring that the turn can be done in safety. So if there's someone sitting there with their signal on, the person making the right turn has a reasonable belief that that person is making a right turn, or a left turn, I should say, rather than a U-turn. The U-turn could be a real surprise. I would say, again, the most responsible person is the U-turning driver. Yeah. Brandon says depends on who has the green, and that would change the dynamics of the call. Hang on a second, I need water. There we go. Water is had. I keep a case of water under my desk here. It's important to have water. And yes, if there was a green light for the person, actually, the person, yeah, you know what? The U-turning person may have the right of way because in that scenario, they might have the green. And it would make sense that they have the green. So kudos, Brandon, for making mention of the green. That's something I hadn't even thought about. So U-turning person, the person on red absolutely has to wait until it's safe. That's a really bad scenario. Don't do U-turns. That's a good piece of advice. U-turns bad. Truly, because U-turns put people at risk. We've seen a lot of people die as a result of U-turns. Bad. We don't like that. Dying bad. We want people to be safe. That's the deal. Okay. Talked about this. YTV KAS. Bro, I follow you. Okay. Thanks for following. Peanut butter jelly time. By the way, peanut butter and jelly, possibly one of my favorite snacks. I don't need chips. I don't need other kind of sweet. Peanut butter and jelly, my favorite sandwich. Just saying. Raspberry though, has to be raspberry. Do you like crunchy or smooth peanut butter? That's an important question. People could start a war based on the division of crunchy versus smooth. Just saying. Okay. Peanut butter jelly time. Oh, it's jelly, not jelly. Okay, my bad. I went to my favorite thing. Do you put coworkers in line? Sorry, do you put coworkers in line in toxic situations, or are you not allowed? I don't know where you're going with this. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Maybe rephrase it. Now, this is from 10:20. That's 21 minutes ago. I don't know if you're still here. Does an officer have to show a radar when being accused of speeding, innocent until proven guilty? We do not need to show it to you. In Ontario, other jurisdictions may have different rules, but we do not need to show you the device. A number of reasons where I wouldn't. If it's in moving radar that's mounted to my vehicle, I'm not going to have you get out of the car to come over to my car to look inside. You're on a highway, it's dangerous. No, we're not going to do that. When it comes to the handheld device, usually I have it in my hand, and I would totally show it to you because there's nothing to hide. But I'm not required by law to show it to you. At the end of the day, it's going to be what I testify to and what you say in your defense. Okay. I have an oxygen machine to keep me breathing. Can I still drive? Tom, I don't know the answer to that. I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't allow it. I would say that if you have an oxygen device, make sure it's secured so that in the event of a collision, it doesn't become a projectile within the vehicle, putting you in greater harm. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with you driving as long as a doctor doesn't have you medically suspended. So that's a thing. If you have a medical suspension, that supersedes what I just said. Okay. We talked about Papa Zig's question. Okay. All my windows are 5%. Oh, all my windows are 5%, including my windshield being tinted. Why is it illegal? Because it's being determined it's not safe. So you can't certify a vehicle with window tint. You cannot certify a vehicle with 5%, meaning 95% of the light is blocked. You can't do it. It's not legal. So you can't do it. In fact, we would take your vehicle off the road. We'd seize your plates, and you would have to reapply for a safety certificate and then apply for plates again. Yeah, well, let's think about it. Dr. Rixey, the answer is also it's two-part. One, your eyes require light to see. 5% means less light. Less light means less seeing. You actually get less of an image. You're seeing less. It's harder to see things. So that's a great thing. In bright light, it might be less of an issue. In the day when there's shadows and clouds and stuff, it could be harder to see pedestrians. Now, another issue is that pedestrians who are trying to see you for that nonverbal communication before making a decision to cross in front of your vehicle, well, they can't see you. And police officers who are driving next to you can't see inside to see if you're wearing a seatbelt, using your phone, drinking alcohol, or matching a description. These are all problems. Aside from the general safety issues, there are very specific issues. Hope that answers your question. Okay. How to pass a G2. You study for it and you practice driving, and I have general tips that I give in terms of getting good sleep, making sure you eat and go to the washroom before you take your test, but I couldn't give you specifics. I would suggest taking professional instruction. That is something I do suggest, making your life a lot better. A bunch of stuff just reloaded. Let me scroll back. But how to avoid tickets, that one I can help you with. It's very easy, Stanley. Don't break the law. Drive safely. Follow the rules of the road. It's when you go rogue that it's a real problem. For real. If you don't speed, you won't get a speeding ticket. Now, where on earth did these questions go? A whole bunch of stuff just loaded in, which means I lost. Oh, here we are. Clean Flow Solutions says, awesome. Thanks, Sean. Keep safe out there. You too. Okay. Last Friday, I went to get my passport, and I was coming out of the parking lot, and a guy crossed the street with no crosswalk. The crosswalk was 3 car lengths away. I slammed to my brakes to avoid hitting. Well, I'm glad you did not have a collision. Was there a specific question you had, though? Let's see here. I don't want to mess with the thing here. Somebody, Bila, identifies as a pig? Okay. Hey, listen, we don't judge. Stephen Bell, I see you're correcting something there. Cool. Okay. Was talking about tinted mirrors the other day, and note some BMWs and Hondas have blue tint help in rain. If they're manufactured that way, they are designed to function that way. Some of them are auto tinting, like auto dimming, but they do revert to a non-tinted situation. It's to prevent you from being blinded at night, not to be used during the day. It wouldn't be active during the day. All right. What do we got here? I'm scrolling back because, again, a gazillion new messages popped in. Here we go. Paul already got Billell's where? I don't know. Just a reminder to please put the letter Q before your question so we know that you are, in fact, asking a question as opposed to having a conversation amongst yourselves. All cars are beautiful. Yes, I got that. Well, depends if they meant that to trying to say ACAB or if you're actually responding to someone who did. But I often say that all cars are beautiful and all cops are beautiful. I'll even throw that on the screen because it's great. Now, a lot of people throw ACAB around. That's obviously not intended to be a nice thing, but whatever. What job would I do if I wasn't an officer? I don't know. It's a really good question, but I'm not worried about it because I am an officer. Dr. Rixey says, leave my tinted windshield alone. Like I said, a tinted windshield will result in you losing your license plates if the officer pulling you over realizes that it's tinted or is aware of the fact that we can pull your plates because the vehicle is instantly not safe for having it. Still Talking says, hello, thanks for what you do. You're very welcome. Glad that we can be here, and I appreciate that you appreciate what we're doing here. Let's see here. Neha says, hope you have a good day. Going to bed. Gotcha. And she says, good night to her fellow night shift rotational workers. Can you turn right on a red? A squid NP. Is that a non-player? What is that? You got different icons here and there and whatever. Okay. Can you turn right on a red? You can come to a stop in Ontario, and if it's safe to do so, can make a right turn on a red. But again, after a complete stop and you've made sure that you can go. And assuming that there is no sign preventing it, which is what Brandon just jumped in to bring clarification on. I love that we have an audience that gets involved and answers questions. It's awesome. Okay. Talked about this. Question from Slick Rascal 2023, is 140 on the highway okay? No, it's not. It's against the law, and I charge you for speeding. No doubt about it. Are the shifts 410s or 312s? We are different. Toronto Police has different shift patterns within the service, but generally speaking, 7 on, 7 off, and I think they're 11.5-hour or 11-hour shifts. I don't work that anymore, so I don't know. I note the Hello Kitty in your user profile. My kids would be happy to see that. York Region does 4 12-hour shifts, 4 on, 4 off. They do that. We used to do 7 10-hour shifts that had days off, 7 10-hour shifts again with days off, and 8-hour night shifts. I used to like that a lot. I miss that a lot. In Ontario, what are the laws on road closure there? We talked about this already earlier. I got my G1 on Saturday, March 2nd. Awesome, Ray. Congratulations. Welcome to the world of driving. Make sure you have a qualified G-class driver supervising you whenever you're on the road, because otherwise bad things happen. You get tickets and such. But yeah, welcome to it. You got to wait 12 months before you can take your test. Otherwise, you may want to look into getting professional instruction, which I, of course, endorse. And then you get your time reduced to 8 months before you can take your G2. What happens if you don't pay your traffic fine? Depends on the traffic fine. If it's something that is issued by a police officer, you are going to be finding yourself unable to renew your license, and you may get suspended for non-payment. If it's something where you have parking offenses or an automated payment system, you may not be able to renew your plates because it's a different situation. It doesn't go, those automated ones and parking things go against your license plate, whereas a police officer will lay it against the driver's license. So yeah, suspended for non-payment for the driver. For the other ones, you may not be able to renew your stuff. Do you personally pull people over for going 20 over on the highway? I have. I don't pull anyone over at the moment because I'm on the road, but 20 over, certainly a good speed to pull people over. Nothing. I have nothing against that because it's against the law. And 20 over is 20% over the speed limit, suggesting that you don't understand how speed limits work. Okay. What's your opinion on jackrabbit turns? Usually see a ton in Brampton. They're stunt driving. I would stop and charge the driver for doing that, and I'd charge them with stunt driving, and then I'd take their license and impound their vehicle. There's no, it's not an opinion. It's absolutely against the law, and it's a serious law, and I would take their wheels. That's what we do with stunt drivers. Okay. So all they have to do is wait a sec. Like the jackrabbit things, I have a big issue with because they're just being aggressive. There's no reason they can't wait 5 seconds. Now, if somebody doesn't go, you've given the other side all the opportunity in the world and they're not going. That's not jackrabbit start anymore. It has to be immediately before or after the light turns green. Yeah. All right. Do I still have to pay for my license plates? Depends, Viva. If you have a motorcycle or a regular automobile, even a light truck, nothing that falls under the category of commercial, then you don't need to get, you don't have to pay anymore. It's covered. In fact, they're changing it to an automatic renewal system, although right now you still have to manually renew, but it's free. Some vehicles and snowmobiles do require payment, and that's a real issue for Sergeant Campbell. He does not like it. Okay. Does the officer need to provide proof of speeding when pulled over and accused of speeding? Our testimony to it is what's required. I don't know if you were the same person who asked about it earlier, but yeah, we don't have to show you the device. We would testify to it in court. No proof is required other than our testimony. We definitely have to articulate things in court. We have to explain it. I see 5 pinned questions from, hey, how you doing? Sergeant Campbell, we were just talking. It's like saying your name 3 times gets you to appear. We were talking about license plates and certain types of vehicles that still require to pay.
Oh.
Yes.
I did hear that some vehicles are not exempt.
Yes, like snowmobiles.
Like snowmobile. Just gets me.
Don't roll over your phone. That could be terrible.
Expensive.
Yes.
All right, I'm in.
You're in.
I'm back. There we go.
Is it illegal or is it legal to put a reflective light strip on the back of my vehicle? So reflective stripes on the back, it's not illegal.
Reflective stripes, no.
So tape, things like that.
Light strip?
Well, I'm saying reflective light strip would be a reflective strip of tape as opposed to a light emitting source.
Yeah, so all vehicles manufacturers must have reflectors on certain locations depending on their size, width, and carrying capacity. So putting extra reflective strips on the back would only assist you in not getting probably rear-ended.
I see people who do some serious decorative work with like tons of aftermarket tape all across the bumpers. Look at a fire truck. They are just covered with reflective stuff. It's not a bad thing.
Our own police cars, the OPP police cars and other police services police cars, ambulance, same thing. It only makes it safer.
But be smart. I would not put white reflective material on the back of the vehicle because that would confuse drivers as to what direction that vehicle is going. Potentially.
Yep, potentially.
I don't know if it would be illegal, but I would still suggest using a red reflective on the back and a white reflective on the front if you were supposed to be so inclined.
Yeah, that's good. Makes sense. That's kind of what we do with our lighting of our vehicles, red in the back, white and amber on the front. That way we know which direction it's pointing and has the ability to possibly travel.
Have you had any cat questions lately? This is a cat question. What are the safety law with a cat in the car? Can my cat be sitting freely in the window or by the window?
Well, if the cat is not interfering with your ability to drive, then it is fine. But
Legally.
But I'll put this down here. If you care for your cat, you don't want your cat to become a flying projectile, either because they're involved in a collision or an airbag deployment. If your cat becomes, if you get involved in a collision and your cat escapes the car, they're obviously going to be scared and run away. Why not put your cat into a crate and keep them safe? Tether the crate down.
Yeah.
It is the safest way.
And if you want to give them some mobility, there are tethers available, and you could put them on a short tether that they could roam the back seat there. That is an option. Still not the safest. Crate's going to be the best.
Yep.
But you do have options. If they were on your lap, if they were, that's careless.
Absolutely.
And it could also be crowding the driver. You're not supposed to be, petting your cat while you're driving.
When you're driving, drive.
Yes. Why do I need a front plate? If it's in my dash, what's the ticket offense? Well, the why do you need it is because the law says you have to have it. It's so we can identify vehicles at a distance, both from the front and from the back. It makes a whole lot of sense to me, but I appreciate that it may mess with the lines of your car.
Yep, some jurisdictions don't require it. Ontario does, and until that changes, it must be mounted clearly visible on the very front of your vehicle.
Conspicuous place.
On a conspicuous location. It can be off to the left or the right, as long as it can be seen. Putting it in your window on your dash, well, we've talked about this before. It's made out of metal, and it's
Kinda sharp
metal. If you get involved in a collision and your airbags deploy or your side curtain airbags deploy, and that comes flying out at you at 200 miles per hour, it's liable to cause some serious damage.
Even if it's just from the impact, it's just a bad idea, and it's not where it needs to be. So $110 fine is the potential charge for it, or it is the charge for it, whether you're in a collision or not. So that's the thing.
And you can't see it in the front window. You can't when it's laying down flat. No.
And another interesting thing, when it's in the front of your vehicle, that rectangle of your license plate must be in a horizontal mounting. You can't even mount it on its side.
I see an awful lot of modified retro motorcycles where there's no back fender, so they use the rear axle as a mounting spot for it. And if they were to turn it sideways, it would stick out of the motorcycle kind of awkwardly, so they mount it straight up and down, which is not lawful.
Indeed, it is not. What is the legal tint amount for front windows? Kales Schmidt wants to know. Any relation to Carrie?
Did you save that one for me?
No, that was randomly selected.
Oh. Why in the world would you ever tint your front window?
Well, I don't know if they mean windshield.
The front windows?
Maybe the ones left and right of the driver.
The front side windows.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going.
Okay. Don't ever tint your front window. I've seen it happen before. It's not a good idea. Front side windows.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, the windows directly left and right of the driver can have no more than 30% light blockage, and that is based on the requirements for certification. Someone made a very interesting comment over the weekend. I think it was over the weekend. And they said, well, vehicles manufactured before 2016 don't fall into that category because those regulations came into play for 2017. So it's possible that the 30% would not impact their ability to certify. However, it would still make them eligible for wonderful tickets for obscuring the interior of their vehicle.
That's correct. And likewise, you're also allowed to have the brow strip across the front window, or front windshield.
2016 or older.
2016 and older.
Yes. Nothing
2017 and on.
But in terms of, and it was a doctor, somebody who was saying, I have everything tinted. Leave my windshield alone. If you have less light hitting your eye, and your eye requires light to function, you'll notice as you age, you even need more light. But this is why we see people turning on the lights brighter in their car, to look for things. I need more light than I ever did. So is there a reason to have more light hitting your eye? Yeah, you see more.
Yeah, it's physics. It's how we see. If you have less light, you see less.
Now, at nighttime, red light I think is a great solution. Have you ever thought about changing the interior lights to red?
In one of my vehicles, you can actually do that.
Stock?
The footwell lights,
Oh, yeah.
it's a Ford like yours.
But what about the interior? I thought about changing the bulbs of my interior lights to red so they don't impact my night vision.
Which is okay unless it projects forward while you're driving.
That is a problem.
In our police cars, we actually have red interior lights
Because we want to feel like pilots.
for exactly, or submarine commanders. But it's exactly for the same reason.
Mosby wants to know, why does Canada stop emergency services if you travel too far north? I don't know what they mean. I don't go far north. So I don't know. Is that a thing?
Why does Canada stop emergency services? Are you talking like the Coast Guard, or
I don't know what they mean.
if you travel too far north?
I mean, there's no ambulance, there's no fire trucks. I don't know what they mean. Different services would then take over. Like you'd have forest firefighters.
Yeah,
superheroes.
I don't know. In you're talking about Canada in general, which is, we're kind of big up here. In Ontario, we have emergency services coverage everywhere. Now, it may take a little longer, but we do have. There are agencies that are responsible for policing, responding to fires, and medical emergencies everywhere in the province.
London wants London Ritwich. Landon, I can't read today. Landon Ritwich, we're just changing your name, we're making you international. My ownership is expired because Service Ontario never sent me a new one when I renewed my plates. What happens if I get pulled over? So I don't think they actually send you a new paper anymore. You're supposed to take the online free renewal certificate and keep it with you. And the fact is, we can now see the update. So if we pull you over, I don't think we're seeing there's an expectation to have a valid renewal on the document.
Right. Previously, your actual document would have been expired, but have been renewed by putting a little sticker on the back that said
Validation.
you were still good. Now that we don't have the validation because the government wants to save money and making stickers.
And postage costs money.
Yeah. So I think you are okay. I would say you're okay. I would not, because I would check your vehicle through the MTO computer system, and if it says you're good to go, I would say you're good to go. If it says you're not good to go, I would investigate even further.
Vice Grips says, you drive with the windshield, not the doors. Oh, there was another comment. It was in relation to tint.
So you drive with the windshield, not outdoors. Really? You don't look to the left or to the right when you're crossing intersections?
You need
or
to
looking
look at
for
all of them. Yeah.
pedestrians?
It's all very important. And then it says it's because you can't see the driver and what he's doing, and which is also a safety thing. I think he's using it as defense. I may be misreading what you're saying, picking it up in a whole different way than what he's putting down. But that's an element. We need to see inside a vehicle to ensure that we know if the driver's wearing their seatbelt, if they're using their phone, if they're drinking alcohol, if we can determine a basic description of the person that is operating the vehicle. So you're not wrong. That's part of it, but safety is the other part. And there's that magical thing called nonverbal communication.
Yep.
And we know when someone's looking at us, and we know when that person's looking back at us. That's incredibly important for pedestrians.
Eye contact.
Eye contact, nonverbal communication. So while I appreciate that you may not drive looking out the windows and don't care about tinted windows, I know it's important.
Is it lawful to stick your head out the side window and drive?
Stick your head out the window? I've never thought about that. You may have to.
Yep. I don't see why not.
Yeah, but then you may not be wearing your seatbelt properly at that point. That's another issue. What do we got here? Oh, we talked about cats. Okay, looking for new stuff. It's 11:04, by the way. If you got a dad joke, drop it into the comments because we need to know the dad jokes. I see Kayla has taken off in 5 minutes, which may have been 5 minutes ago, so we may have said goodbye to him already.
Yeah, me too.
Here we go. Is an 18-wheeler exiting the highway I guess it does an 18-wheeler exiting the highway have to be in the middle lane and not the outside lane, since they have to make wide turns. So they do need to make wide turns, and they usually straddle a lane. They usually are halfway between two lanes to prevent people from taking the space on the lane that is no longer occupied and then getting squished in that turn.
So do they have to? No, they don't have to.
if they can
But
make the turn.
every vehicle should stay in the lane that they're appropriately in when they're completing the turn. Most good professional truck drivers will start from the outside lane, be able to swing wide and make it around. They're tough vehicles to drive on our small roads. They really are.
I want nothing to do with driving those. That's the one vehicle that I have never had an interest. Maybe as a bobtail, I would drive it, but I do not want to tow a trailer of that length, 55 feet and
53.
53.
But we have the ability now to have two 53s in a train going on the 401 corridor. So they're big, long vehicles. I don't envy them. My son is taking the course right now, and hopefully in a week or two, we'll have his class ACZ license. So big trucks and big buses.
I mean, listen, I'm glad that I'm thoroughly impressed by the people who can do it and are confident. I want nothing to do with it. It's just one of those things that's an itch I do not need to scratch.
Really?
Because
I totally.
you want to?
Oh, yeah.
Have at it. And your son can supervise you once he's got his ticket.
Well, there you go.
You can learn how to do it. Okay, Joyce says, speaking of cats and vehicles, I'm a cataholic. Does those rules apply to me? I have, let's see here. Good to see you back on the air. Hope you had a great fun at the auto show. It was fun. It was a great time. We both had a good time. You weren't there as much as I was, but
I was
it was
only
a
there for
good time.
2 days. But
Yes. So yes, cataholics also must protect their cats in their vehicles. YTV KAS says, hello, don't ignore me. I've never ignored you.
we just maybe haven't gotten to you yet.
No, there was a lot of repetitive questions. Are you a cop? Why aren't you answering me? But I think they might be the only person watching on Kick. So that would be there. Yeah. Let's see here. How long does a warning stay on your record? That's, this is my friend we met at the car show. So a warning
Does not actually go on your MTO record. It stays on the Toronto police record, though.
but it does stay forever.
It does, indefinitely. And if other police services were to do a little more extensive search of their record system, they have access to ours, they would be able to see it.
And that may determine whether or not you get a ticket if you do it again. The idea is a warning, so you have been made aware of the issue, and then no further warning should be extended to you. That's the general idea.
Yep, exactly.
I would have a real problem if I looked up and I saw someone who had 10 warnings for something. I'd be questioning what the officers were doing.
Right.
Now, we have a couple of dad jokes, and we have one follow-up on the 18-wheeler question from Dylan. And that is, so if an 18-wheeler takes the turn from the outside lane while I'm turning in the middle lane and he hits me, whose fault is it? If they hit you, if you're in the lane and they drive into your lane and come into contact with you, they have created that situation. If you drive into them while they are making that turn, you ought to have avoided that, I would say.
Takes a turn from the outside lane while I'm turning from the middle lane.
It's at the same time.
So there's 3 lanes that are. I'm not picking it up.
No, I'm just trying to paint my own picture based on the statement. So if there's 2 people and they are on the outside lane, what outside lane is it? Which is the outside? Is the outside the inside lane outside? So they're on the curb lane and they go out. So they're encroaching into your space. If they're side by side and they encroach in your lane and the lane is yours, they would be at fault. They would have to wait until you are clear for them to be able to make that turn. That's how I would take it.
Totally, 100%. It would be their fault. But let me just say that we all realize that these huge, large vehicles require extra space to make a turn. If the driver, for some reason, wasn't paying attention, ended up in the curb lane and was not able to make it, the obligation is on him. But we as drivers, especially in Canada, we're kind of nice. We recognize that, and we should.
Courtesy on the road.
Give them space.
Yeah. For your benefit as well. I see that the TikTok link has no longer functioning, and there's a couple of questions that we could hit here. As a G2 license, can I drive on the highway alone? If you have a G2 and you don't know this, you should reread the handbook. Not even trying to make fun, just that's a major thing. And in fact, you can drive anywhere. It's a probationary license. You can do anything that a full G license driver can do. However, you have conditions.
Right.
No alcohol. There's some limitations in the first year of having your G2.
Passengers, time, things like that. All things you should really, really know before you get yourself into trouble.
Yes.
Just for highways, you're good to go.
Absolutely. How do you become a police officer is one we'll ask her in just a second. But the question here I want to actually read that. Hang on a second. Who can legally direct traffic? Are there any special circumstances? Oh, that wasn't the question I was going to go, but it's a good question.
Yeah. So who can direct traffic?
Police officers.
Yep.
Traffic wardens.
Because they are
special constables.
special constables appointed out for that act.
Yes.
What about, I call them lollipop people.
The folks, the traffic, what do they call them? They're traffic, I had this name, and I used to know this.
TCP.
Traffic control person.
Yes. So a traffic control person can only direct traffic if they're employed or the construction is happening on a roadway where they're employed to fix it by the jurisdiction that has, jurisdiction over the roadway. So if the road is getting repaired, repaved, the contract was given to whatever paving company, and this person works for that whatever paving company, they can direct traffic in and out around closed lanes because of that. They have a book that they have to follow for signage and safety equipment and the way that they direct traffic. That they will be trained. The guy who just wants to back his buddy up cannot stop you. The guy who is just trying to make sure the dump truck gets into the condo building safe cannot stop traffic. Who else can direct traffic? Firefighters at the scene of a collision. And that is it.
That is it. That is all.
That is
I'm trying to
it.
figure
That
out
is
why
all.
this is a weird shaped.
A weird shaped what?
The way it's clipping the screen. Oh well, we'll get into it. The answer is, how do you join the Toronto Police Service? How do you become a cop?
No, that was a question.
That was a question.
That's not the answer.
Oh, well, this is the answer to the question. So you can go to www.tps.ca/careers. On there, or by going there, you'll be here. And here is where all that information is available. If you go to the police constable link, you'll get all that cool information, everything you need to know, things you should know, says it right there. Once you're there, you can actually, if ready, or when you are ready, go there and make your application by hitting that wonderful button that says apply now. But there are many, many job opportunities available here. You can go look at special constable, parking enforcement officer, communications operator, which last I saw had an opening till the 15th. But there's also civilian roles. Let's see if they've added any. Clickety click.
Barbara trick.
One extra one. Crime analyst, district squad support. That is a new job. The other two were there last week. So let's have a look at this one.
Crime analysts, those are the smart people.
Yes, big brain people. 46 to 53, almost 52. And I don't understand the 0.31, just make it easy. Round up or round down. But anyway, 46.31 or $52.39. I guess it's $52.39 an hour.
It is.
It is. That one's open till the 14th.
That point is like a,
decimal point?
yeah, between dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Kind of
Let's see
for a
here.
while.
There's all sorts of stuff.
like you.
Yes, old like me. But these are things that you can look at and determine what your life choices will be based on that information. Yeah.
All sorts of skills and education and knowledge is needed to run a police department, and these are the people, the backbone of the service, and we need every one of them very much.
Yeah, if not for them, things would not work. Okay. What is the age of joining police? Information is all there. And I would suggest you absolutely have a look. These are things that anyone who's interested in becoming a police officer should research in advance of submitting an application. Don't come here with questions.
Police officer has a different age than civilian employee, has a different age than maybe yippie student, summer employment, has a different age from lifeguard, has a different age from, so go specifically look, it'll be listed on there.
Absolutely. Ryan wants to know, can you drive over the center yellow line, solid yellow line, if there's no other vehicles in the area? So there is no law against crossing that line. However, crossing that line, causing a collision makes you responsible, and there are charges for that.
Absolutely. Now, they will be corresponding with certain, let's just say, geographic things that are out there where it would be unlawful for you to go out and say, drive in the oncoming lane and pass other cars, things like that. That's bridge, viaduct, railway tracks, crest of grade, all the ones that don't allow you to see clearly.
Michelle wants to know if there's high turnover in dispatch. It seems they're always hiring in batches. So my understanding is that they hire 20 to 40 people at a time, and based on the high, it's a challenging job, and not everybody passes.
Right.
So about 50% of the people graduate.
High turnover, yes. You have to be good at what you do. And there's a certain personality for the type of people that do it. And I know some people that had no interest in it, got into it accidentally and excelled exceedingly well at it. Where others, they wanted to do it and just didn't have the skill, the ability. You got to think and type and use common sense.
Mouse and pedal, and it's a lot of stuff going on.
But fantastic job.
Truly. Somebody wants to know what the oldest rookie cop was. I was an oldish rookie cop because I transferred from courts at 38. There were people in my class that were in their 50s.
Yes. I think in our 50s was, I think where we...
Well, 18 to 65 has always been the range of hiring. But I've never seen anybody being hired at 65. I think the average used to be about 34, and now I think the average is going down to mid-20s. Things have slid recently. If you're looking to get into law enforcement, now's probably a really good time. And someone asked about the schooling being free, and or if it costs, it used to cost. You didn't pay, then I had to pay, because there was a range of officers who had to pay their own way, because what was happening was we'd pay for them to go to college, and then another service would say, hey, now that you're paid for it, and the other service covered the bill, would you like to come work here where it's nice and quiet? But they didn't have the budget to pay for the training. So they resolved that by charging the officers to keep them invested. Now, currently, the Ontario government is absorbing the cost of that Ontario Police College tuition for, I think, another 2 years. Last year was the first year, 2 more years this year and next. So again, it's like a $14,000 or $15,000 signing bonus to get it for free.
Yep, absolutely.
Because I paid for monthly for a long time out of my paycheck. All right, we got some dad jokes because it is now 11:17. We've gone over time, which we like to do because we want to answer your questions. But yeah, and feel free to come back tomorrow because, although at a different time, I think it'll be a little bit later. We'll try and do take advantage of that. Oh, I just have to mute someone who's being an idiot. Okay, dad joke.
Don't be an idiot.
No, because he said that. It's just rude. Doesn't like us.
No,
I don't know.
that's okay.
Not everybody most people like us, but not everybody.
Doesn't really bother me.
No, it doesn't bother me, but other people don't like to see it. So let's see here. Dad joke. What do you call it when a prisoner takes his own mugshot? It's a selfie.
Oh, start with cell. Okay.
Cell.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Dad joke. What does a police officer and a DJ have in common? They both tell drunk people to put their hands up. It's not bad.
Baby hands up.
What? Okay.
Gimme.
What commercial was that used in for, like,
Forever?
forever?
Wasn't it a travel commercial?
It was a travel commercial for a Canadian-based, Montreal-based
Yep.
travel company.
Air Transat?
No, they. No,
How did we squirrel here?
because we're old. What is it? It is. They used to be the only all-inclusive, and they had no alcohol. You had to wear beads. What is it called? It was beads to pay for alcohol.
Is this police related?
Totally.
Okay.
Okay, last dad joke, and I'll come back to this. Did you hear about the guy who stole a calendar? He got 12 months.
I like that one. I like it.
Hands up, song, travel. Come on. Is it Club Med? That's what I was thinking. Is it Club Med? Or
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I thought it was Club Med. That's what came to mind. I may not be accurate. Anybody in the audience know?
Tell us tomorrow
Tell us tomorrow.
because we're done.
We're done. We're out of here. Have a great day. Stay safe. Drive sober. No drugs, no alcohol. Just be safe.
Park legally.
Park legally. Very important. I had an officer come in today. He came to see you too. He says, I know all the stuff that you talk about, but I love it when Aaron's online because I learn stuff.
Yep.
And that's the truth. As police officers, the stuff we talk about should be common knowledge. But parking stuff is a whole different ball of wax.
And you know what? I would have trouble discerning the parking violations that are out there now because they've all changed since I first started. So Good for Aaron.
Indeed. Play the
Indubitably.
traffic song. Indubitably. What show was that used in? It's the first time I ever heard the word. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving. Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic